I'm a little on the thick side. A burger with all the fixings and brick side. Not a size 6, but 16 instead. I'm supposed to be frail, but not cornbread fed to be accepted by society. Who doesn't like variety? I'm a brick house. 36, 24, 36 aren't my measurements. I don't need silicone implants or a padded booty, 'cause baby, this is all me. Got me going to the gym 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm doing yoga, Atkins, Jenny Craig, and piercing my earlobes and shit. They say it'll curb my appetite trying to get my sit-ups right, and I'm doing this for my health and to better myself, not to please you or tease you. Okay, I'm lying. Don't knock me for trying. I love the attention I get when you call me milkshake, sweet thing, or mocha chocolate. You know you want something to hold on to that can hold you back and take an ass smack. Don't stop. Don't quit now. You know you can't do that with little bits not fit for what I can take, making my ass shake like a salt shaker, big money maker. I'm a thick chick. I can do magic. From booty popping on a handstand to the Chinese splits, here are the benefits of having a thick chick. You'll never go hungry. Always see the real me. Won't see the string on my G, where you're heat in the winter, shade in the summer, thicker than a Snicker, cute in the waist, got childbearing hips and a small waist. And when we're making love, I promise you'll get total satisfaction and lots of action. No complaints yet or ever. Big girls can do it better. What's the matter? Does that cat have your tongue? Or that tongue has that cat? Tried to told you big girls is where it's at. So what you waiting for? Don't delay. Run out and get your big girl today. Yay.
Sometimes people say the nicest thing, that they wanna hate you, talk about you, even call you out your name. But remember, you must always hold up your chin, yeah. Take the negatives and give them a different spin. They call you skinny bitch, fat bitch, ugly bitch, flat just a bitch, black bitch, white bitch, crazy bitch, cute bitch, classy bitch, bitch with the fro, bitch with the weave, a bitch if you please, cute bitch, smart bitch, sexy bitch, creative bitch. Where it's at, BJT, and the men want me, never let my weight hold me back, 'cause I'm sexy, smart, deep, all of that. Learn to love the skin you're in, no need to get super thin, your beauty is within. I'ma sing it one more again. Learn to love the skin you're in. No need to get super thin. Your beauty is within. No need to burn your hair so thin. Skinny bitch, fat bitch, ugly bitch, flat just a bitch, black bitch, white bitch, crazy bitch, cute bitch, classy bitch, bitch with the fro, bitch with the weave, a bitch if you please, cute bitch, smart bitch, sexy bitch, creative bitch, skinny bitch, fat bitch.
I have a brother. I'm one of 2 children. Love, love, love my parents. My mom and dad are just amazing people. I was the heavier of the 2 children, and I take after my dad and his people. My dad has always been a heavier guy. And I can remember my dad doing things like telling me to pull my stomach in and fix my posture. And I started learning at a young age that my size, my body, there was something wrong with it, something to fix.
I guess in my early 20s, I don't know, well, plus size, I guess, is from size 12 up, so in my teens then, yeah.
Probably from birth. I was a 10-pound baby, was the chubby girl all through my toddler years, growing up years, even in school.
I would say after I had my son, I didn't realize that I was gaining the weight. After I had him, I thought, oh, okay, well, I just had a baby. So, but then, it wasn't going anywhere. And I began to embrace it. It was just a part of me after that.
To be honest, I wasn't a big girl growing up. I was, the skinny mini. My nickname was Bird Legs for a lot of people who knew me in the neighborhood. I was, majorette, cheerleader, always really skinny.
And it was interesting to me because my dad was the guy who struggled with weight, that he was always corrective of mine. And again, love my father, nothing disparaging about him, but my mother was the one who really affirmed me and called me pretty girl. And my father affirmed more of my intellectual capability, my strength, that type of thing. So to hear him ever refer to me as beautiful has been just a big treat for me in my life.
Like, I want to say probably third grade was one that really stands out. I had like size 7 shoes, women's 7, 8 shoes. I mean, I had big foot. My nanny wore like a size 12. So, I knew I was going to have big feet. But no, I wore a bra before anyone else. I was never like a size 0. Never. I was always close to double digits, like 8, 10, when they were wearing like 2s and 4s.
After having children, with the weight gain, having children and so forth, I became, more of a plus size woman. I would say my journey through it all, I've never really been a small woman.
I was small maybe up until 4th or 5th grade, started gaining weight. So my struggle kind of began then. I've always been like the only one in my family to be on, a little heavier, but it didn't stop me from being me. So I can say at a very young age is when it started.
Oh, hell. I've been plus my whole life. Now, I have not been as plus, but I have always been bigger than my other friends, like, always.
Probably in my early 20s. That's probably when I realized that I was truly, I guess what society would consider different or not the norm or not the fit or the example of what a woman should be.
Probably as a child, I was always a little bit heavier, a little taller, a little bigger than most. But I think most after I started having my children, I started kind of gaining a little bit and being a little more curvy and a little more full. Harder to get off after childbirth, but probably in my early 20s.
I've always been bigger than my other cousins. Like I remember being the younger one, but still wearing the same size as the older ones. So, forever.
My journey on the thick side began very early on. I feel like I was thick when I was born.
Probably about 8 or 9 years ago, before I was living a very unhealthy lifestyle, I was skinny and looked awesome, 5'7", wearing size 3 pants, but I wasn't skinny or happy or healthy at all. And so I got into a healthier lifestyle. I stopped going out partying, and I was just living a healthier lifestyle in general. And by doing that, I actually gained weight. It's in my genetics. I like to eat cake, so.
It could be several reasons. It could be birth control. It could be my age. It could be lack of exercise. It could be depression. My dad got sick. I found myself probably eating more, not paying attention to my body.
I guess after I started having kids and I started kind of filling out more in places, the guys tend to like, hips, thighs, butt, breast.
Basically, when I was born chubby. Well, I wasn't born chubby, but I've always been a chubby girl. And I played sports all my life. But as the other girls started to kind of thin out as they got taller, I never did. I never got taller, and I never came in at all. So it's kind of been since I was a little kid.
I unfortunately have always been a little heavier than others. My dad had this really cute nickname. I thought it was cute. He called me Plump the Lump. I never thought anything of it and didn't really know I was big until 7th grade when some guy tried to hit on me, and I wasn't into boys at that time. And then all of a sudden I'm fat, I'm ugly, I stink, I'm this. And at first I didn't understand. And then I started looking at all the other girls and realized how much smaller they were than I was. And that's kind of when I guess my journey began. But I've always been the bigger one of the bunch.
Let me just say that the term plus size is a separation. So anything that separates a class of people is not necessarily fair. But when we think about plus size in terms of the name rather than the term fat, I would prefer plus size over being considered fat.
Depends on the culture as far as what's considered plus size. I have a couple of friends that are from an Asian background, and their idea of plus size, I would probably look like I'm about to kill over dead to them. It's possible. But, and she's like maybe 115 pounds, and they're like, hey, you look thick, that sister.
I think that voluptuous women are actually desired more in other places, like the places with the Romance languages, Italy, anywhere they're speaking Spanish or Italian, I'm probably good, I don't think they're looking for somebody. But if you think about, it always goes to food, like, well, what kind of foods are they eating there? Pastas and rice and beans and carbs, that's what they, and I'm thinking, well, I'm a country girl. I grew up on, my daddy had to have fried potatoes at least 3 days a week.
If you look at other cultures around the world, we're really the only culture that focuses on whether you're skinny or plus. We're really the only culture that worries about that.
Well, I know in some countries I'm a goddess. I want to say like Africa and places where the larger you are, the more wealthy I think you're considered and actually closer to God.
It's more common in the United States. You do see things like lately, Rihanna's been blasted and loved in the media both for gaining weight, and she looks fantastic, and I know she was in Barbados. So I know it's not just central to the United States, but I definitely think it's more common just with the lifestyles we live here. People don't do as much walking as they do in other countries. We drive everywhere. We have fast food. Everything's for convenience here. So I think that makes a really big difference.
I don't know that I would say a universal concept. I think some countries, for instance, Mexicans, I think that being a little overweight or thick is more accepted. Asians, no. Most Asians are small. Americans, we're known to be, I think I heard that the average woman in America wears a size 12. That's average.
14, right?
Is it 14? Oh, well. Okay, so, to an extent, yeah, it is.
Probably not, because we got just more fat people in general here in the U.S. That's what we do. We have holidays based on eating. They don't have that everywhere. So we love fat. That's what we do. That's like our pastime.
And that's coming from the skinny dude, huh?
Just because I got a high metabolism don't mean I don't eat all the time.
No, I don't think it's universal at all. Because every place in the world is slightly different. I've always wanted to go to the island of Samoa and see what it was that grew people that big on that little bitty island. So I don't think there's a universal answer to that.
No, I think in Europe, everybody's a little more lax about, everybody's just everybody, and it's not so much focused on what you look like. I think Americans were really focused on you gotta look a certain way, in magazines and stuff tell people that. But the actual reality and what we're seeing is totally different. So
it's not universal, not far. They just don't like us. They don't like big people. Everything's about big people nowadays. So no, it's not universal.
I just was having a conversation before we started filming and was telling someone here about what this documentary is about, and her response to me was, "You're not plus size." And I said, "I love you for that," right? Plus size, I think, is very relative. We're seeing a lot of posts and memes and things nowadays about body image around the world and what the perception is of a particular size, or what's perfect or what's beautiful in a different region to ours, different countries to ours. Very, very different, very disparate.
I think people are starting to maybe embrace plus size women more than what they used to growing up. As soon as I started to get my little curves and stuff like that, my grandmother would say, "You're getting fat, you're getting fat." And I wasn't getting fat, I was only 100 pounds, but I was becoming a woman, And, but I think now that people are embracing the plus size women more because there's a lot of obesity out there.
And definitely in different cultures and different customs, the plus size woman is revered, actually. And when I went to Africa, I went to Gambia, Africa, maybe about 14 years ago. And the heavier you are, the bigger you are, the more wealthy your family is, the more healthy you are. And so men found that more attractive. So I'm running around with, I'm thinking I'm thick. Well, I had a girlfriend with me and she was maybe my size plus and very tall, and men were following her. They had no time for me.
Quite frankly, curves are celebrated more in the Black community. Well, now it's being accepted and being introduced to other cultures as well because of the Kim Kardashians and the Beyoncés of the world now, where they're starting to think that it's okay to have some hips, it's okay to be curvaceous. But once upon a time, it was only, accepted and to be a BBW in the Black community.
That we are not sexual or sexy, or that we're not intelligent.
That we're lazy. That's the biggest thing. Just because I'm curvy, I'm plus size, doesn't mean that I'm lazy.
That all plus size women have low self-esteem.
That we're all just addicted to food and that we just eat all the time.
We are not these hypersexual, freaky women.
That no one likes, a healthy plus size or out of shape or, a fat woman.
That they have low self-esteem, that they're lazy, because I guess they just think, hey, they don't go out and do anything.
We're unhealthy because, I guess you compare being big to, having heart disease.
The myth that we're easy, like we don't have options when it comes to love or to relationships, or that we don't live fulfilling lives.
That we don't care about ourselves, that we don't try. Just because we're plus size doesn't mean that we're not healthy.
That we are not persons who can contribute to society and to the world in valuable ways. That maybe we aren't as feminine. The list goes on.
That we all can sing, that, we just have issues with being able to control ourselves or being able to control our food or being able to control our weight.
We are unhealthy and that we are lazy and that we do not work out and we do not exercise. I personally teach a class every day and I am still plus size. I know women who dance for real. They get paid for it and they're plus size. Being healthy is where the game is at, and health looks different on everybody. So just because you're a little bigger doesn't mean that you're unhealthy, and just because you're a little bigger doesn't mean that you're lazy and you don't do anything.
If you look at my lab numbers, since one of my clients is a lab company, so I get to see my medical labs on a regular basis, I'm healthier now than I was in my 30s when I was thinner.
That we eat all day, every day. What person, even that doesn't work, eats all day, every day? That's not true at all. It's just, we're bigger women. And I think the other one is that whole, fat girls don't ever have anybody that loves them, or, we'll never be able to find love. Well, I don't think that's true, because I did.
So, I go to the doctor when I have my physical once a year. I don't have high blood pressure. I don't eat as healthy as I should, but I'm bill of health. So, a lot of misconceptions are we're unhealthy, we stink, we can't reach our parts good or whatever. I'm very clean.
Kids is cruel, man. Kids is the most cruel sons of bitches out in the world. So when we were growing up, and in my generation, and in my area, and the peers that I had around me, whoever same area, we always bragged, and it didn't matter what the case may be. So it was like being fat was like a disadvantage. Being short was a disadvantage. Being skinny, being whatever the case may be. And whatever, those things that we use, like, girl, you fat, what I'm saying? You feel like Della Reese or Thea Vidal or something like that.
Damn, man.
Like, hey, it's the truth. But I'm like, I feel hurt by it. Well, shit, like I said, man, look, we was cruel motherfuckers, man.
Not all plus size women are thirsty. We do not pay what we weigh just to be in a relationship. We don't always give head or give money or let you borrow our car.
Is that we are not healthy when we're plus size. I live a very active lifestyle. I've got a 4-year-old daughter. I go hiking on the weekends. I do yoga 2 to 3 times a week. I live a very active lifestyle, so I'm not lazy. I'm not unhealthy. Are there things I'd like to change? Of course.
We are professionals. We love doing things. We have goals, we have dreams, we have aspirations just like anyone else.
That you stink, that you're musty. Unfortunately, quite frankly, it was offensive to me. Because to be honest, I'm a little bit more musty issues. I have a bit of musty issues now being skinny than I did when I was plus size, quite frankly.
That we are not physically fit, that we can't do physical activities. That's one of the main things. Like dancing is one of my most favorite things to do. And I can dance you off the floor.
When I first got out of the military, I had Mayana. She was about 19 years old. And they had, a friend of mine had a friend who was doing an African dance class. And so it ended up being 1 drummer and 4 dancers and an instructor. And they worked the hell out of me. And that's honestly my first ever dance class. And it just kind of grew from there. The more I took, the more I loved, the freer I got. It was an awesome feeling. I've had people come in my class and walk out. I've had people tell me later, oh, I didn't think you would be able to work us out like that, or I didn't expect much out of your class. It used to really hurt my feelings, but now at this point, because I know pretty well that my class is intense enough to work anyone out. I dance circles around most of my little bitty dancers. That it's just a misconception. And you can think that you're not going to sweat, but you're going to sweat in my class.
So fuzzy.
Look, if you want to feel good about yourself, it's impossible to feel good about yourself when you're doing something that's self-destructive. Also, self-destructive behaviors that result in damage or debilitation or even disfigurement to the body, that's never going to be perceived as beautiful.
So I get on the plane, and there's 2 empty seats next to me, and it's getting close to the point where they're going to close the door to the plane, and I'm excited, like, holy shit, I'm going to have this whole fucking row to myself. This will be nice. I can stretch out a little bit, take my carry-on, stick it under the other chair. This is going to be great. Right before they close the door, lo and behold, this fat tub of shit gets on the fucking plane. All right, and I'm thinking, oh, God, not me. Please, for the love of God, don't pick my row. You know, when you do that shit, you're just fucking willing the guy to sit down as he waddles his fat ass down the fucking aisle.
Some people are already really mad at this video. What are you gonna do, fat people? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna chase me? Really? You're gonna chase me? It's gonna be like fucking Frankenstein.
Look, scientific studies have shown that it is not healthy to be overweight. There's nothing good about it. Alright? Yes, I will attack society's bullshit view of saying we should accept everybody for who they are. They're absolutely right. We should. But when I sit there and I look at somebody that's overweight, no, I find that utterly repulsive and disgusting. Why? Because it shows a lack of self-discipline.
In my community, our community, I am considered bony and rail thin, and so people are more willing to say things like, have you eaten today? You haven't eaten today. I've watched you. Bitch, no, you haven't. I bet people are wondering why this skinny bitch is on this documentary. Well, about 18 months ago, I had a what's called gastric sleeve surgery, where I have effectively lost approximately 157 pounds to date, which was basically over half of myself. I was at my heaviest at approximately 312 pounds.
When you look into a TV screen or on a movie screen in a magazine, you don't see anybody that looks like you. That tells you, A, either you don't exist, or you're unimportant, or you're not valid or valuable, and it does something to you, even subconsciously. You may not be aware of what it's doing to you.
Everything is to an extreme, I've noticed. Either you have to be extremely thin, or if you are going to be plus size, there is a discrimination in the type of plus size you can be. Like, you can't just be a plus size woman and that be okay. It's okay to be plus size if you have an amazing ass or if you have abs in the process.
We focus a lot on the images that are thrown back at us. And of course the media, magazines, television tell us that in order to be beautiful, you have to look a certain way. And usually that way is skinny.
You look on a magazine cover, I mean, just for example, Amy Schumer, who's a comedian, she's not a big girl. I wouldn't consider her a big girl, but they were calling her a plus size model. And just because she's a little thick, and you don't see, if you ever see, a lot of girls on there, they never make the magazine covers until they've lost some weight or something. Khloe Kardashian's that way. Now that she's skinny, well, everybody's like, oh, look what she did, find out her secret and stuff. But the media, corporations, everybody shame women into trying to fit a certain stereotype. Even, the corporation Lane Bryant, if you look at their credit card, it's called the LB card. LB is short for pounds.
butts. How shitty is that?
Anybody my age and younger, I think we were inculcated with the idea that thick women are beautiful. And I know it, as silly as it sounds, I like big butts and I cannot lie. Everybody knows that song and everybody sings that song. And I think that had an effect on a generation. And so that's where I think you can see a Kim Kardashian becoming so popular because of that big old butt. And that's media as well. It's not the corporate media, it's not the front of magazines, but I think media has shifted toward bigger women.
I think that the media, from all aspects of media, has played a role, from print to film to music to television. You know, when it wasn't fashionable to be plus size or a larger size, magazines and you know, reference materials, all forms of media made it be shameful to be a plus size person.
You don't see a lot of plus size actresses, and they get blackballed for sure in major roles in Hollywood. And so yeah, when you see a movie or you see commercials, what do we see? We see slim, we see skinny. We don't see a lot of plus size women in the you know, high fashion shows, or not even in the music industry.
Wow, I think for a long time, especially as a little girl, you always saw the skinny model or the really, really thin person, or the thin person on the books or on the magazine, and that was how they always wanted us to feel like we needed to look in that if we didn't look that way, something was wrong with us.
I believe that the media is about making money, you know, so it depends on how much money they want to make out of the petite class, you know, so the plus size. You have these Dove commercials, oh, love your size, love who you are. Also buy Dove because we support big women.
Good point.
To, you know, I don't know, Christian Dior, I don't see any plus size people on there. You just see women look like that stand right there, the breasts. Yeah. That's the money they want to make, so it just depends on who they want to put their hand in whose pocket.
Runway models. Start there. They have to be how tall and how thin to wear these clothes that we buy off the rack. I mean, that to me was one of the places that it starts for me. But it's always been, you know, skinny girls are the one that pulls everybody, that pulls them in, and you know, whatever. And I think that is changing a little bit, but I'd still like to see some more improvement. There are way too many sizes and shapes of women.
The media is the worst when it comes to self-image. A lot of times, or I mean, you can just look at any billboard outside. Right. You know, it's going to be perfect teeth, great skin, slender, fit into any type of, you know, bathing suit. They don't have too much variation. They do a lot better nowadays, but growing up especially, I mean, you've seen nothing but skinny chicks. And it always made me mad because you can see their elbows right here. I hate when you can see a girl's elbows. Or they'll have real, man. It's just something that's weird about them. You see that little elbow poking out.
And when you do see someone you can identify with, it's almost like a thirsty person having a drink of water for the first time. And so the media is extremely influential in influencing how we see ourselves. I'm happy to see that we're evolving. You know, you have print ads now for plus size models and plus size lingerie and clothing, and we see more real women, they're calling us. So it's better than it was in the past, for sure, but we have a long way to go.
The media is so hyper-focused on physical appearance. It's never, oh, okay, I can list, and you know, I'm obsessed with celebrity culture, and you know, I know things because I pay attention to it. You know, Natalie Portman went to Harvard, Emma Watson went to Brown. You have some very beautiful and smart women in Hollywood and in the media, but they don't ever talk about that side. It's always, oh, look what she's wearing, and oh, she's put on a little bit of weight, and they focus more on that physical appearance as opposed to you know, what they contribute to society.
I think a lot of it happened with the Playboy bunnies and those type of things coming out and portraying what sexy was. And then that just made everybody switch to trying to be that. And that just kind of pushed the big girls out. Another thing I think is with all of the medical standards, like for BMI and for this height you should be this weight, and it's like for me, for 6 foot even, I should be like 160, 170. Yeah. That's impossible.
Up until recently where they had that plus size model, you know, you wouldn't see big girls on the cover of magazines, Sports Illustrated. You wouldn't see that. I think that, and then we always want to talk about this leads to obesity and that leads to obesity, and what you eat. Anything that you do in excess is not good for you, whether it's eating, whether it's watching a lot of TV. So I think that at times the media has such a big impact on what we should look like, and everybody's not capable of looking like somebody that's 36, 24, 38.
The girls growing up these days, they think they have to be a size 2 and they have to have big butt and these waist trainers and all that stuff. I just don't get it. So I think the media plays a lot in the things that people do to be beautiful. I work in plastic surgery, so I see all kind of stuff. And I don't know, just be you and don't let the media influence you.
I think in the past it has had a very negative impact on the way that plus size women have seen themselves. It always used to make me mad. Even in the Tyler Perry movies, there's always the big friend, and she's either very loud or she's very humble. And it really used to irritate me because we're not all the same size. We're not all petite, and then there's the one big friend. We're all different shapes and sizes, and that used to really irritate me. But I think now with Sports Illustrated coming out with the plus size model, which, you know, she's a lot less plus than I am. But, and with not Victoria's Secrets, but Lane Bryant's campaign, I'm Not an Angel, I definitely think we've gotten a little bit more press, a little bit more love from the media. And I'm hoping to get a little bit more, just not for us, but for the kids that are coming up in our shadow that might be, quote unquote, big boned.
You know, I'm all for Spanx. To each its own. Me personally, the waist training and stuff like that, I don't get it. It looks uncomfortable. Can you eat in those things? Can you drink? I mean, when you go to the bathroom, what are you gonna do? I mean, that's just too much.
I kind of oppose that stuff because I feel like, you know, like, say for instance, if you're going out to a club or something like that, and you got on a waist trainer, when you and your man go home or whatever, I mean, is it still sexy if you got to pull off all this equipment and stuff?
God bless Spanx, in my opinion. Now, would I wear them every day? Absolutely not. But I would much rather wear a Spanx than to walk around with dents. Like, I just wanted to have a nice, smooth finish.
I still use it. I have a waist trainer. I wear a girdle, but that's only to lift my booty up because I too am trying to hang with the fad, which is to have an ass, and I don't have one anymore. So, you know, I have a girdle to pull up my ass. I have a waist trainer because I'm not curvy. So by nature, I'm a pencil. So I have to use a waist trainer to give the illusion of a curve.
You don't ever, I mean, it's cool to love yourself and accept yourself and flaunt yourself,
but please keep it together. The one thing you don't want is I'm sexy,
Out there.
but then built like a stack of them Marines that they used to play, like them toddlers play with. You know what I mean? You don't want to do that. So the Spanx, you know, contracts all that in. It just
holds things
exactly.
in
It
place.
holds things.
And it brings out the figure a little bit more out.
Yes, it does.
And from my experience, it smooths out, especially if they're wearing a fitting dress or something, you know, with a little bit of spandex in it, and it's gonna hug them. They want it to be as smooth as possible.
Yeah.
I think they're full of shit. I don't think they need to wear that shit. Just be you. If you, I mean, you got it, use it. I mean, I don't like the fact that when you go to a girl's house and you think she built this way, and then you know she got that body, but when she pull out that shit, she got a Belly Bell body. It just don't match up to me, and I feel like that's false advertising.
I love Spanx for certain outfits. I mean, I'm a comfort girl most of the time. I'm jeans and a t-shirt. But if I'm going to dress up and spend the time in heels and a really nice dress, I'm going to have the proper undergarments just to kind of like, you know, I don't want it to make me appear thinner, but maybe just, you know, perfect the curves, a little less dimples here.
I can say that I have not personally tried those things, but I am definitely not against it because I think that everybody has the right to feel comfortable or do whatever it is they think they need to do to feel beautiful or comfortable or whatever it is. I think it's just all part of the beauty industry, just like makeup and hair. And I just think that it's an individual choice.
The waist trainer, no, I'm not big on it. I don't even want to try it. But I do believe in the Spanx because it just it kind of helps hold things together and just gives you a smoother fit in your clothing. But as far as, you know, putting on something to just change my whole body shape and all of that, no, I'm just working on that myself. So
I go to Massachusetts a few years back. There was a legislator in Massachusetts who tried to pass a law that said if a guy lied to a woman to get her in bed, that was called rape by fraud. And I thought that is the most stupid thing I've ever heard of. And I can only imagine the woman that wrote that law went home and took off her Spanx, pulled her little things out of her breasts that were fake, took off her fake eyelashes, wiped off her face, and was then the ugliest woman in the world. So I'm not a big fan of those. I want to see how you're going to look in the morning, not all made up at night.
Yeah, I don't worry about all that stuff. I ain't wearing it, so I ain't gonna ask you to. I don't give a shit. I don't care nothing about high heels. I don't care about makeup. None of that stuff. Just dress how you want to dress.
I'm not gonna lie. I tried the waist trainer and I was like, something isn't right. I went to the doctor and he was like, Miss Davis, well, one of your ribs is folding in. And I said, oh, okay. I took that off that day and I threw it in the trash and haven't put one back on since. I feel like if you're gonna do something that's artificial, you're gonna get artificial results. Because when you get home from wherever you're at and you take it off and you know, somebody gonna say, well, what happened to that six pack that you had? And what happened to that butt that you had? You know, so my thing is, if you're gonna do it in a healthy way, or do it where if you take your clothes off, it's gonna look the same way it looked when you put them on.
Society views weight the same way they view fashion. When it goes on the runway, that's what they consider fashion. If you want to be fashionable or you want to be in, you look at that fashion, you model it, and you buy it, and so therefore you're in.
Fashion definitely hasn't caught up with the plus size woman. You're lucky to find any clothes in your size that fit well, that's hard enough. But then it's harder to find cute things and things that make me look good and feel good about myself. It is very much a limited market, I feel like, for the plus size.
When I was growing up, at Halloween, it was just a one size fit all. Those little plastic costumes we wear now, they come in husky. They didn't have husky when I was, growing up. Now that I don't have the girls, but in the little girls' clothing side, we have like a junior plus. I'm like, oh, junior plus, I can get some of that stuff. But it's just like, no, we didn't have that. We had medium, small, medium, large. We didn't have no junior plus when I was growing up.
I find that if I don't buy expensive clothes, then I don't look good in them. When I was smaller, I don't know if it's the material that they use, or I don't know. When I was smaller, I could wear anything. I could go into any store and I didn't even have to try stuff on. Now I find that I have to buy expensive clothes. Because expensive clothes, they just, it's just different. I can't really explain what it is. I don't know if they use more the elasticity in whatever they do, whatever they use, it's just different. If I buy an expensive sweater, you can't see my stomach. But if I go to a cheap store and buy a sweater, an extra large, you can see everything.
I can definitely say it's gotten much better than when I was younger. My God, the limitations that used to exist were just terrible.
It could be the bubble that I've put myself in because I follow a lot of plus size boutiques on Instagram. So I feel like they've caught up, but when I go into a JCPenney's, I'm still definitely seeing my grandmother's clothing when I go in there. Every once in a while you'll find something amazing, but I just want to feel like, I want to feel sexy when I put on some clothes. Yes, I understand that I may be the size that your grandmother was when she's wearing these clothing, but I need to feel like magic when I walk outside.
The fashion industry itself, I believe they have grown a lot. I believe it's a lot of plus size women that has boosted or have great self-esteem. So they have started revolutions, curvy revolutions and so forth. So with some of the plus size women actually coming out and being confident, they're creating their own, lane.
When I see a full-figured woman and like a fitting dress, and it's just showing off like curves, just
especially sundresses.
Oh man, don't get me started, please. Don't get me started.
Sundresses,
but man, it's the silhouette, the beauty that you see when wearing those clothes. I'm like, damn, man, I just shit. Let me be a thread. Let me be a thread on that dress.
The ass in the sundresses. Yeah, I don't even know what to say.
It's just like the Africans say. It's just like
yeah.
I love that I can go to some stores and I don't have to wear panels and flowers. That's not cute. I think fashion is moving forward in the plus size. So I think we're heading in the right direction in that.
Back when I was probably 16 or 17, my first job was in the Promenade Mall, and they had Lane Bryant, and they also had the Limited, which later turned into the Avenue because another entity had bought them out. So it was a plus size store, and I was just amazed at all the cute clothes, the cute fashionable clothes that was coming in for plus size women. Now, I was a teen at the time, still in high school. I think I was a junior. And before then, when I was in middle school, it was so hard for me to try to find clothes that were fashionable like my friends and my size because they just didn't make them.
Fashion has really, really, really expanded, I would say, within the past maybe 5 years for, a healthier plus size woman. Before, you would go in the store and you see all these paisley type things, and it's like, no. So with me, I would just go to the regular size and see, look for the extra larges and things like that. Because I'm like, that's ugly. You know what I mean? So they have really, really caught up to what I consider, something that I would wear. For the plus size women, the fashions are great. Online. I'm a big online shopper, so it's great. The fashion has really caught up.
Name something that plus size women should avoid, just in life in general.
I'm gonna tell you the first thing. I said skinny bitches. Okay.
I really hate to see women who are bigger wear shoes if they have like big ankles. Like, that is a pet peeve for me.
Oh Lord. Okay. Number one, we gotta stop wearing these damn leggings. It doesn't matter if they're the design leggings, the solid leggings. Stop wearing these leggings.
If you have excess stomach weight and rolls, it really doesn't look good to wear, half tops and just like have all your meat hanging. You're gonna draw unnecessary attention. There's a difference between confidence and sort of like ignorant arrogance.
So I feel like if you're gonna put on some clothes, I support a smooth finish underneath. I also support that if you do happen to have more back rolls, then maybe you should, I'm not gonna say not to wear the halter, because I also think like it's rude to tell someone that they can't wear something. I think it's just in how you're going to wear it. So yes, you want to wear the halter, more power to you. But make sure the halter is up a little higher above the roll so you can still have your back out, but you're still showing your best self, I guess, to be.
Leggings are the first thing that come to mind because they do look like pantyhose' cousin. Because sometimes they can be too thin and they show a lot. And there are thicker ones that you can get though.
Ooh, no, wear shorts. Shorts is a no-no. Wear capris. I mean, even with me, I really don't like the way, I have cellulite. And I wear capris. You will not catch me in shorts. So please, if you're, don't have the smooth legs, capris, please.
Just make sure that whatever you're wearing, just make sure that it is comfortable, but it also looks comfortable. You don't want a person running up to you trying to give you water because they think you're about to pass out, or wearing colors that are unflattering. A lot of women tend to do dark colors, or they tend to do grays because that's the only colors that they gravitate to, because they say it tends to make them look smaller.
Just know your body type. Accentuate your best assets. If you don't have no ties, then that top probably ain't the right one. Pencil skirting you have, not the hips or behind. No, you wear what makes you happy.
Squeezing into something that is absolutely too small is the big no-no to me. I think that's absolutely no. Same thing with shoes. Shoes and clothes, we do not look good when we look like we're, busting out of something. So just making sure that you learn your body type if the best you can, or have somebody to help you to be able to put on the correct outfit and the right foundation so that you look nice and that you don't look nasty.
Make sure it fits your body. And make sure it flatters you and not what everyone else is wearing sometimes doesn't flatter you. I do not own a single pair of jeans at all. I prefer skirts. Even, I teach aerobics and I still wear skirts all the time, skirts and dresses, because that's what I feel flatters me and it makes me feel feminine. But my number one rule for don't wear is make sure it fits your body. Make sure it enhances your shape. If it doesn't do anything for your shape, it won't do anything for your confidence. And that is the name of the game. It doesn't matter what you wear as long as you rock that confidence. But if you don't feel good, you're not going to feel like you look good. So that's my thing.
So certainly as I've gotten older, I see that men love us. They love our curves. Of course, again, relative, right? Every man has his own preference. So some men are going to want a woman who's a little bit smaller, a lot smaller. But I think, especially being a woman of color, a black woman, also moving in the Latin community at points, men in those communities and demographics like some thickness.
Men typically are, and not overgeneralizing, but typically men think that start a relationship based on the idea that things don't change. So, and women enter relationships based on the idea of what they're capable of, or what the potential is. So, quite frankly, I'm going to be honest. I think that my husband, you know, if he had the choice, he would have chosen for me to remain the size that I was. But through life, I gained weight, and I think that I was more self-conscious, less than him making me feel self-conscious, because quite frankly, he kind of emerged with me. I mean, once upon a time, his porn was skinny girls, and then when I got thicker, his porn desires became more curvaceous, and if I can say it, big titties and big ass ladies, and because that's what I was. And so he kind of moved along with me, but I personally became more self-conscious. It was me that had the biggest issue with it. And so, you know, quite frankly, it's about that particular person and their journey with their weight.
Okay, so dating as a plus size woman, I don't know, because, you know, I would say dating as an educated black woman with a master's degree and a mind of her own has probably been more of a problem than whether I have a big ass.
Is weight and dating a big issue in the LGBT community?
I think it is. From what I've seen, I see a lot of, and I don't know if this is true or not, but what I've seen, let's say that, I think that a lot of bigger girls feel like, well, if I date somebody that is like me, then it's easier to find happiness. And I think that they find where they can see somebody who is like them, and it'll be more comfortable because they understand me and I understand them because we're both females. And, you know, I think that is one of those things where we're like, it's easier for us because they know the situations that I deal with weight and with dating.
I said I like, or I date smaller men. I guess it's because opposites attract. I always get so I can bully them. That's what I said. I seem to be able to get over on them because we get into it. I can throw them bows. No, but no, I don't know. They just the smaller men, little men. They seem to be more attracted to me. I guess because it's a challenge to, get up on a plus size woman.
What I spoke on earlier is the assumptions. I meet a lot of people who assume that I'm this big old sexy freak. And so the conversation is instantly sexual, and I'm completely opposite. So I find it challenging to meet intelligent individuals who understand that I'm an individual and I'm not just my size or whatever my size or whatever society tells you my size represents or means.
Previously, I was very cautious of, being approached, by men. I'm like, okay, does he really feel this way? What does he mean? Or, is he, coming to me on purpose? So yeah, it did, there were times, you know, I was very self-conscious, even insecure at times because of my weight. So, you know, that did hinder me as far as relationships. And yes, even sex, you know, was, you know, turn the lights out and, you know, but if they see it, you know, they see me, so they know it's there, so the lights are not going to do anything. So, you know, previously, yeah, it was a hinder. But like I said, now, you know, being older, being more mature, being a woman, I'm at the point now I'm like, you know what, it is what it is.
I actually personally stayed a virgin for a long time because I was ashamed about my body when I was, you know, a teenager. So I did not have sex. I didn't engage. I was also terribly afraid of my parents. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So it was an issue, and I think that a lot of times in our culture as well, we tend to have these different levels and hierarchies with people, and we put people in different categories, and it's like, okay, well, if you got a man and, you know, he got 3 kids, then that brings him down somewhat on the hierarchy level, or if he doesn't have a job, that brings him down, but if he got a bad body, that brings him up, and they do the same thing for women. And a lot of times we tend to think I can date with someone who's equal in my level. I got to stay in my playing field. And so the belief becomes, well, because I'm fat, that brings me down so far on that hierarchy level. So I got to date somebody who's not doing anything for themselves or who is generally lacking in some of the qualities I may want in a man. I may settle for something less. And that certainly was something that I dealt with in my younger days. Are there some women who are like, oh, I'm super confident, da, 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 da. Absolutely. And that's them. But that wasn't my journey.
In high school, it was probably more of a challenge because I was built like a grown woman in the 9th grade. So that made it a little difficult because the people that you did come in contact with, for mine, and it could just be that they were high school horn dogs, but in my opinion, they just mostly seemed obsessed with being with the woman who was shaped like a grown woman. You know what I mean? So it's like I didn't have the 11, 12, 13-year-old body that you think straight up and down. No, I was filling out life. It was pretty solid.
You know, I've finally gotten to a point really where I'm a lot more comfortable in my skin. Whereas when I was younger, maybe 10 years ago, it's like, oh, I find myself, you know, doing that. And I dress kind of modest. I don't really like probably what I'm showing right now is a lot for me. I'm pretty modest. But if I do dress up or I do show a little something, then I get looks.
I've never had a problem getting a date, or I mean, I don't go out looking for dates, but no, it hasn't been a problem dating. I feel like in some ways I've been approached differently than I was when I was smaller. To be quite honest, I hear the word, instead of pretty, I hear the word sexy more. Instead of I want you to be my girlfriend, I think people are more prone to approach me with sex. Why, I don't know.
It may be a cultural thing. I did notice a difference when I was smaller, you know, and younger too, but smaller, on the smaller side, you know, there was very much a much broader market of men that were interested or showed interest in me. What I noticed when I got thicker, I noticed that shrunk the type of people that were interested in me, and it ended up being, you know, I find a lot of people in the Black culture and in the Latin culture, they appreciate a woman with more curves. And so it was almost, I shifted from one demographic paid attention to me, and then when I got thicker, it shifted to a completely different demographic.
I always felt like that I shouldn't date a big girl because I was a big guy. And it just was going to be a lot of heat and a lot of friction and a whole bunch of extra. Until, you know, like I say, once I got grown and I tasted that lifestyle, I was like, oh shit.
What was you thinking?
Yeah, I was like, I mean, this is a long time coming. I should have went over here and did this.
Wasn't it like heaven?
Hey.
It was just like it was just like taking a bite of that warm honey bun. And it's just like that love, man, that urgency, that feel of just satisfaction. He's like, wait, what is this? Man, this is like, damn, I gotta get another one. You heat up all the honey buns and you get in the nude and just eat them all. I'm like, oh shit, I love you, girl.
Some of the guys that normally would not approach me before approach me now. I don't know if their confidence is, you know, has risen, or if they think that my confidence is different.
Yeah, it's like heaven. Like when they take off the clothes, them thighs, that's what I love about a big woman, them thighs. Them thighs, them thighs, them thighs, them thighs. That is, so you like thighs. Oh, them thighs. Hey, them thighs make and break everything right there. Them thighs, and if they got some hips and ass, that's the best loving that any man can enjoy. Like them little skinny ones, nobody want that. I don't want no dime piece. I need a quarter piece, $7.
I think some view us as exotic. I think some view us as nasty. I don't know. I guess it depends on where they come from. Then I think some are just undercover. They really, really like us, but ashamed to let people know. I'm like, hey.
When I was married, sometimes I would still cover up. Now that I've been divorced and I'm now dating again. But I think that's more about being shy with your new partner for me. But, I love my aspects. I love everything about the curve of my breast and the roll of my hips and the little crease in my back. But you never know what the other person is thinking. So I don't think that that's a plus size thing. I think that's a Yanni thing. How will he take it? Will he like it? What if he likes a smaller breast? What if he likes a less poutier lip or plumper stomach? Who knows? You know, that's a personal thing. I don't necessarily know that it's a plus size thing.
I get tired. These crevices, this right here, when you put them legs up right here, that tires you out. You can't do that when you big. You can't do that. I don't care what nobody say.
That's a big girl. My goodness. Man, let me tell you. Remember I was talking about the slopes earlier? Imagine just being on them slopes and just, it's the most dangerous slopes ever. You got high valleys or mountaintops and peaks, and you got the low ones. You know what I'm saying? And they on opposite sides. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, one side, you get on one curve, you gotta hold on.
There's nothing not great about sex. Like, it doesn't matter what position you in, it's like I gotta go home, I gotta go see my girl.
It's like when the playground for that big Tinker toy, you want to touch everything on it as a kid. You want to slide down, you want to do everything on it. That's how I feel about a big girl. You want to play with everything on her.
Well, here's my issue, guys, and that is I'm a middle-aged white man, which means I've got to be a lot closer to actually have sex than you guys do. There's not as much to work with. So if they're too thick, I can't get there.
I would say the curves are my favorite thing. Just looking at a big girl, no matter what position you got her in, the curves are the best thing. The big ass, big titties, big thighs, all those curves are what makes a woman good.
When you're smaller, they can lift you up, they can do more with you, they can flip you, they can, do all that stuff. It's different. It's different. I mean, not to say that, sexually you're still not good, but you are limited to your flexibility and to your, every guy can't pick up a big woman, so yeah, it's a difference. When I was 135 pounds, somebody could pick me up and walk around the house with me. They can't do that now, so there's a difference. And if people say there's not, they're lying.
Your journey is your own. Don't let society, don't let the media, don't let your boyfriend or any other person identify for you what is best for you. Only you can do that. And whatever you are happy with, that is what you should pursue, whether that is being happy in the size that you are, whether it is looking to change that body type if you want to. It should be your decision and your decision only, because fads change.
I never had many discussions with my female students specifically about body image, but when I did, I was so happy to be able to affirm them and identify with them. And actually, let me say this, a lot of them helped me with my own image. A lot of children are more confident than we give them credit for, and they're confident before we rob them of their confidence. So as educators, as parents, as adults, we have got to always affirm the fullness of our children for all of their good qualities. They are more than just a physique, more than just a body. And we have to make sure and affirm them on all of their good qualities and coach them in the areas where they need growth with love and with understanding.
This is about loving yourself, embracing your curves, and just be you. You know, not all plus size women are unhealthy. We're not promoting obesity. It's just about loving yourself.
If you don't like it, then change it. I mean, because honestly, regardless of what anybody thinks about you, if you don't think this about yourself, it makes no difference. I mean, because even when I was small, when people would say, oh, you got the cutest shape and such and such and such, I would still want to gain weight. So my thing is, it doesn't matter what anybody says, get to where you want to be. Get the body that you want. If you're okay with being big, then that's the perfect body. If you want to be 175 pounds, that's the perfect body. If you want to be 135 pounds, that's the perfect body. If you want to get down to 200, that's the perfect body. Nobody can tell you what's good. Nobody can tell you what's right. You have to feel good about yourself. You have to do what you want to do.
If you don't like what you see, if you're not confident, do something about it. I wasn't completely happy. Even though I was confident, I wasn't completely happy with what I saw in the mirror. And I wanted to be better. So I would say, fix it.
Embrace yourself, love you for who you are. You know, we're beautiful no matter what our size. We happen to be a little bit more curvy. We got a little bit more to love. Just learn to love yourself, and the self-love is the main thing. It's the major key.
Love yourself regardless of what size that you are. Always have self-confidence. Because, you know, as I stated before, if you don't believe in you, or if you don't believe that you're acceptable, you're going to portray that to other people.
Sometimes it takes the smallest thing that we start to like about ourselves. And I've been there. And so it started with, you know what, I like my eyes. And so I would try to play up my eyes as much as I could every day. And then I like my smile. Oh, you know what? Then I found out I got some killer calf muscles. And so it just started from there. You have to find the thing. I believe that God blesses everyone with something that's amazingly beautiful on them. And so you have to find that thing. You have to play it up. And then it turns into just changing your thinking. I'm a therapist, and so I do believe that, you know, if you change your thoughts, your feelings will change, and then your behavior will change. And then you will start demanding and expecting that people treat you the way you treat yourself.
Well, to quote the great R&B singer John Mayer, he's R&B, right? No, I was told him, and this is true. He has a song called "Bigger Than My Body." So I just say to women that you're more than just your body. You're a mind, you're a soul. You can change if that's what you want to do, or you can stay the same if that's what you want to do. But as long as you're happy in who you are and you're secure in what you know who you are, and that's all that matters. That's really all that matters. And there's somebody out there for you. As my mother-in-law always says, there's a live forever pot. And hell, if you don't ever find that and you want to stay single for the rest of your life, there's no one right way to live. So just live your life and be happy, is what I'd say.
I think everybody's self-conscious about the way they look. And it takes a lot of time and energy to be okay with how you look. You know, I've joked already. I'm a fat, white, middle-aged guy. I spent years that I wouldn't go to the pool without a T-shirt on. Today, not a problem. I'll rip it off, because I'm okay with who I am. Nobody wants to see that.
I would dog
but the thing is, you have to be comfortable with who you are, and understand that what is rolling in your head, everybody else has that rolling about them in their head too. So don't worry about what they think, because they're too busy thinking about how they look and themselves. Be you. Be okay with you.
To all the big women watching this, my phone number is 918.
You know, take authority over your life, over your mind and your emotions, and love yourself. I teach a lot of women about confidence and being confident, and how important it is to know who thyself is, and how important it is in our emotional and our mental and our spiritual being. And letting them know that they are beautiful, you know, no matter what. But a lot of times it's people are so messed up emotionally that it has impacted their mental space. And a lot of times people don't see the greatness that others see in them.
Start trying to get to the root of that issue. Maybe go get some therapy, really, because it's coming from somewhere. Someone or something made you do that, made you, and I'm not just saying that that's someone else's fault or anything like that, but there's a reason why, you know, you're feeling that way. So go get to the root of it, figure out what it is, and work through it. Whether if you're not comfortable with getting counseling or anything like that, go to a friend, go to a mentor. More than anything, find your people in your life who are not yes men. Very important that you do that. Do not rely on those yes men. If every single piece of clothing that you try on and your girl is saying, yeah girl, you look good in that, and you don't, you need someone to go, your butt's too big in that, or whatever. So yeah, try to get to the root of that. My root issue was I was molested when I was 5 years old. And so it took me, I mean, it really within the last 5 years, I could start to say that word out loud. I've never even been able to say that word. It happened when I was 5. When I was 16, the man did it again. It was my babysitter's husband. And I was called on to testify against him. Like, yeah, he did it to me when I was 5. And that was kind of the beginning, I think, of the process, but then it just became suppressed again. And so over time, you know, I talked to different people about it, and then I ended up going to like a prayer partner or something. And I had one in particular that really forced me to answer questions and, you know, get me to say things out loud that I'd never said before. And it was like a flood. And it didn't even happen until 24 hours later. Then I was just bawling and I couldn't even figure out why. But yeah, that was my deepest, you know, issue, I would say, because it was stolen from me. I was 5.
I said apologize for what? Being young, gifted, and black? Young, fly, and saved, and able to switch hats at the drop of a hat, from this gig to that, switch flows like styles, switch styles like racks, grieve, boom, never. I was born this way, and I'ma keep spitting words that make people say I've got to do better. Next stop, the top. Donny Hathaway, a pathway to the cream-corned crop, cause I hated being quiet when I knew I should have spoke. And I hated speaking up when I wished that I could choke on words that brought tears to your eyes, but those words made you better, so I won't apologize. I can't say that I'm sorry for bridges burned, for mistakes made, for they were lessons learned, for being smart or beautiful or incredibly stacked. There's enough sorry people in the world. I'll let them handle that.
The act of reclaiming our name was actually derived from the concept of Kujichagulia, or self-determination, the act of determining who we are for ourselves. I asked the participants who volunteered to think about a time, a space, or even a situation or circumstance where they were called something negative or something that hurt by someone that they love. Whether it be a father, a mother, brother, sister, or even a husband or boyfriend. Some of the names they came up with were broken, burden, less than a woman, nasty white bitch, whore, piece of pussy, whale, fat, and gross. These were just some of the names that some of the participants came up with. Others were more derogatory and like nappy-headed or disgusting. And so then I went deeper and I said, what are the times that you have called yourself these names and how did it make you feel? And we talked about that. And then at that point, as the mood was pretty negative in the room, we shifted and women helped each other by washing these negative words away. We took a little bit of lavender and lightened up the air, and we gave each other hugs. And then we talked about the positive words that we wanted to replace these negative words with. We used words like goddess and beautiful and sexy and gorgeous. We used words like queen and mother and successful and whole. We also use words like fucking awesome and more than enough. And as we painted these words on the participants, you can see how it made them come alive. And when you think about it, isn't this what we do to each other every day? We talk about ourselves, we use our negative self-talk, and we beat ourselves down. And then we allow others to beat ourselves even lower. So by taking the opportunity to determine who you are and what you will call yourself and what you'll answer to, it might just make all of this beautiful.
Confident in the skin I eat, whether I'm super thick, I'm slim, knowing that I'm who I'm supposed to be. 'Cause he who created me didn't make no mistakes, you see. I just wanna be the best me, the healthy me, even if that's the super fit me. 'Cause I am confident in the skin I'm in. 'Cause I'm confident in the skin I'm in. 'Cause I'm confident in the skin I'm in. Confident in the skin I'm in, whether I'm super thick or slim, knowing that I'm who I'm supposed to be, because he who created me didn't make no mistakes, you see.
Why? I don't know, I just love me. I'm at a point in my life now where I'm just comfortable in my own skin. I don't care what people think.
As an individual, I would rate it as a 10. I have areas that I need to work on my confidence. As a whole, I would rate it a 10.
Probably about a 9. I'm still working on just being a little bit more healthy.
I would say I would rate my confidence as probably about a 7, because I believe at this point in my life I am trying to perfect some things.
It would be a 10 simply because my weight or my size doesn't define me. It really depends on the outfit, because if you can find that right outfit and it just hugs everything the way it's supposed to hug, it's a solid 12 to 15.
Did you see that smile shining for miles on miles? I know you see me, yeah. You can't miss me, no. Not because I'm a big girl, but all my personality, my presence, yeah. My essence, yeah. My heart in my strength, 'cause I'm confident in the skin I'm in. Why? 'Cause I'm confident in the skin I'm in. 'Cause I'm confident in the skin I'm in. Oh yeah. 'Cause I'm confident in the skin I'm in. If you're confident and got power from within, let me hear you say, oh yeah. Oh yeah. If you're confident and got power from within, let me hear you say, oh yeah. Oh, yeah. If you're confident and got power from within, let me hear you say, oh yeah. Oh yeah. If you're confident and got power from within, let me hear you say, oh yeah. Yeah. 'Cause I'm confident in the skin I'm in. Yeah. 'Cause I'm confident in the skin